In this tutorial, I'm going to discuss about configuration of DHCP and DNS. After installation of Active Directory Domain Services DHCP DNS, I'm now going to configure the post installation. That what is the required settings we need to, what are the required configuration we need to do post the installation. The preparation was done last time. I have successfully installed ADDS, DHCP and DNS. So as per the flag, they want to complete the post installation of the subscription, and which is the DNS, DHCP, ADDS. Once it is done, once we go through that post installation session, we're going to configure through the DHCP and DNS. So what are the we're going to create the class in DHCP. So this is the post installation configuration result. You can read about the description, what are this and what it will impact, and I'm just going to go with next, and with the authorization part, I'm saying yes following the user's credentials, which is currently my username is techengineer/administrator. I'm just use commit, and the authorization part has been done. So I'm closing it. And when I read on a flag, it's now time to configure DHCP server. So I'm continuing with it link, which is complete DNS DHCP authorization, and the configuration this time. Well, last time we have authorized it. So complete DHCP configuration. I'm clicking on it. It will open the new pop-up window, which will allow you to install, and which will allow you to complete the post installation of DHCP server. So you can also check out the task details, and you can also check out the installed servers through tools. So like last time, we have read after installation ADDS, few rows has been installed already, which is administrative center, domain stress, module, and PowerShell. So, and similarly, a couple of other features are also installed, like DHCP and DNS. So through tools as well, you can able to see these applications, or these rows are installed. So you can see, now I'm in the DHCP configuration result, and this is what my server is. So right click, you can see there is two, the other options are available, like binding and authorizing and creating a backup or restore it. At IPv4, we have other options to select with. So you can see the one tab is there, the server option. Now we're going to add a scope from server option. We have the two tabs are there, policies and filters. Similarly, add a scope option in IPv6. So at IPv4, we're going to create a new scope, and you have other options like multi-scope, creating a failover or replicate failover, user classes, vendor classes. But our first simple task is to create a new scope in IPv4. Once we create a new scope, the options are not that different from the last in previous operating systems like we used to do in 2008 or even in 2003. So I'm going to add I'm going to name it the scope. Now the start IP address I wish to add for this scope is for example 10.1 or is 10.10.550, and then the IP address I'm going to add is 10.10.10.55. So I'm adding the length of subnet mask as 24-bit and not putting it a default subnet mask. Now I'm keeping it a 24-bit subnet mask. And so this is how you change the settings for changing the default from default subnet mask to the updated one. So I'm adding and looking to change the length. So IP address, the range I have selected is 10.10.10.50, and the end IP address I have added is 10.10.10.55. So subnet mask I'm adding is 255.255.255.0, which the length is 24-bit. So again, the subnet mask I'm selecting is 255.255.255.0. So finally, it has been updated. I'm going next, and I'm going to add exclusion and the delay. For example, if you wish to exclude the IP address range, and so if the IP address is 10.10.10. For example, I'm saying 50. I don't want this IP address to get distributed to any other computer. If I'm saying 55, and then the IP address is also will be 10.10.10. It should be 10.10.10.55, because the range of our DHCP scope is not big. It's just something around 6 computers. That's why I'm adding a one exclusion, which is 10.10.10.55. I'm putting and keeping the by default scope date is 8 days. And also configuring DHCP, I'm saying that yes, I want to add additional options as well. So if you have a router, a default gateway for DHCP, you could add from this rather than going through the NIC, which is network adapter. So it just needs to create the router default gateway for DHCP scope, which I'm saying 10.10.10.1. Now the domain name and DNS server, the parent domain, which is currently we have techengineer.tv. So, and you can see the IP address resolving. So after the selection of default gateway, which is 10.10.10.10, we now need to update the domain name and DNS server. So I'm saying okay, next with 10.10.10.100, and the Win server if you wish to add a Win server. So it depends what you need to select with. So I'm creating next, and I have to activate the scope. Once the scope get activated, now we can see the range DHCP 10.10.10.50, 10.10.10.55 is exclusion rate, and there's no leases created as of now, so the leases part is not there. No leases are there, no reservation has been made so far. So you can create a new reservation from there itself. For example, if I wish to give a new laptop user, you can create a new reservation, and the description you want to add, for example the IP address you wish to give, and so far the reservation will be made both boot B and DHCP. If you can select from both. So I'm adding the reservation. Scope options, you have more scope options are there. You can select through. You have a policies options as well. So what are the policies you needs to go through with it? The policies, scope options, and the policies. So you have options on the scope, but so far you have other server options, policy filters, whatever filter you wish to add, like if you are creating any exclusion or inclusion, you can select the particular MAC addresses based on the system, and you can create exclusion and inclusion. So the DHCP settings has been done, and then what we're going to do is the DNS. There were the DNS settings we're going to do. Forward lookup zones already created, and in the DNS and the resolve, it is already been marked as by default. We didn't made any manual changes so far. The static one will be updated already, which requires to resolve the domain basically. So we keep it same as what it used to be, and it requires to be in the forward lookup zones, and similarly when you need but you can configure DNS server anyway, and you can also select this change date. You can create a new host, new alias name, new mail exchange, new domain, new delegate. So the settings are basically the same like we used to in 2008 and 2008 R2. The settings are not changed enough, and basically it's a graphical changes, but there is no other differences on options, and there is no differences on the settings and configuration of DHCP and DNS. So this is how we basically create a new scope and keep the by default setting, but if you want to go ahead with the DNS configuration, you can create a new